My parents forced their way into my home, replaced the locks, and secretly moved my struggling sister in. They said she needed security. They changed my locks, moved her in, called it family business. I called it breaking and entering. And what happened next turned their entire lives into a living hell. Honestly, where do I even begin? This story isn't just about a house. It's about betrayal so deep it still makes my stomach churn, and a lesson in just how far some people will go to take what isn't theirs. I'm Ryan, I'm 34, and I work my butt off as an automotive mechanic in Tacoma, Washington. My world, my sanctuary, is the house my mom, Sarah, left me when she passed away 7 years ago. This isn't just any house, man. It's a 3-bedroom ranch, paid off on a beautiful quarter-acre lot. Nothing fancy, but it's mine. And it represents absolutely everything my mom sacrificed. She worked 28 grueling years as a surgical tech. Paid this place off brick by brick, just so I'd never have to worry about rent or homelessness. She was tough as nails, grew up dirt poor, served in the military, and used her benefits to build a life for us. She raised me alone after my biological father, Victor, walked out when I was 8. When I walk through that front door, I still feel her presence. The kitchen, where she taught me to change my oil at 12. The living room where we watched NASCAR. The garage where she helped me rebuild my first motorcycle engine. This house isn't just wood and nails. It's my mother's love, her grit, her legacy. Victor, my biological father, popped back into our lives when I was 15, begging Mom to take him back. She tore him a new one, and it was glorious. But 2 years later, he married Diana, this absolute piece of work, who came with a spoiled 12-year-old daughter named Brittany. From day one, Brittany was treated like pure gold. Private schools, designer clothes, new iPhones, exotic vacations. Meanwhile, I was working summers at an auto parts store to buy my own school supplies and save for community college. No complaints from me. Mom taught me the value of honest work. Brittany, now 29, never learned that lesson. She's one of those social media influencer types who thinks the world owes her everything because she can take a good selfie. She's been through more boyfriends than I have sets of work coveralls, always targeting guys with money until they wise up. A classic gold digger. After Mom died, I kept Victor's side of the family at arm's length. Occasional Christmas dinner, a birthday, that was it. My life was simple. My job, my friends, my '89 Mustang GT, fishing. No drama. That was until 6 months ago when Brittany's latest sugar daddy, a tech entrepreneur named Tyler, finally realized what she was and kicked her to the curb. Turns out, she was already 4 months pregnant. She moved back in with Diana and Victor, naturally. I should have seen the warning signs, but I was busy. People like Brittany don't accept setbacks quietly. They scheme, manipulate, and plot, always believing they deserve whatever they want. The first real alarm bell rang when Victor called me one Tuesday evening. He never calls unless someone's in the hospital. Ryan, we need to have a very serious conversation about some important family business. His formal tone instantly gave me the creeps. I went over to their ridiculously oversized McMansion that Saturday, already dreading it. Diana, caked in makeup, opened the door. Brittany was sprawled on their expensive leather sofa, rubbing her 7-month pregnant belly like it was a magic lamp. She was milking it for all it was worth. Victor wasted no time. Brittany's going to need a proper, stable place to raise her child. Our house, it's just not set up for a newborn. I almost burst out laughing. Their house was 3,500 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, bigger than most people's entire apartments. But apparently, it wasn't good enough for Princess Brittany. Diana chimed in with this sickly sweet voice. Ryan, sweetie, you're rattling around in that big house all by yourself. No girlfriend, no kids. It's such a waste. Brittany needs a secure environment, and your place would be absolutely perfect. Then Brittany spoke, not even looking at me. Tyler was supposed to buy us a house, but he's a loser. I desperately need somewhere decent to live. Your place has 3 bedrooms, a big backyard, good school district. It just makes sense. The sheer audacity. My mother's house. The house she died working for. She was talking about it like it was some rental property she was casually considering. Absolutely not happening, I said, my voice firm. This is my home. My mother left it specifically to me. End of discussion. Victor leaned in, that patronizing look I remembered from childhood on his face. Son, your mother would want you to help family in need. This isn't permanent, just until Brittany gets back on her feet. Back on her feet? From what? I shot back. Getting pregnant by some guy who finally saw through her manipulation? Brittany's face turned beet red. Excuse me, I didn't choose to be abandoned while carrying an innocent child. No, I countered, but you absolutely chose to get involved with a guy you barely knew just because he had money. Diana gasped dramatically. Ryan, that's incredibly cruel to say about a pregnant woman. It's also completely accurate, I said, my patience gone. And my answer is still no. Under any circumstances. Brittany actually stood up, invading my personal space. I'm family, you selfish jerk. I deserve help more than you deserve to hoard a house you don't even need. You are not my family, I said, my voice dangerously low. You're some random woman my father married 15 years ago. I don't owe you a single thing, especially not my house. That's when she completely lost it. She started screaming, accusing me of being selfish, heartless, denying her innocent baby a stable home. I just walked out, slamming the door behind me, thinking that was the end of it. I was so wrong. They launched what felt like a full-blown military campaign. Victor called daily, trying to negotiate renting my house, payment plans, emotional appeals about the brutal housing market. Diana took a different, more insidious approach. She started showing up at my work, my job sites, even the diner where I grabbed lunch, always with some elaborate sob story about poor, helpless Brittany. My boss eventually had to ban her. Brittany went the social media route. Posts about a heartless family member forcing a pregnant woman into homelessness. No names, but those dramatic hashtags. Hashtag family first, hashtag pregnant and abandoned, hashtag nowhere to go. Her followers started sending me nasty messages. Then they escalated to direct home visits. Victor showed up with baby furniture, claiming he needed to store it temporarily. Diana brought a real estate agent to my door, suggesting I explore smaller, more appropriate properties for a single man. The agent looked mortified, but Brittany's visits were the worst. She'd show up at all hours with baby clothes and nursery equipment, acting like she was just visiting. One afternoon, I came home from work to find her hanging curtains and assembling a crib in my spare bedroom. She was actually decorating my house. What in the world do you think you're doing in my house without permission? I demanded, my blood boiling. Just setting up the baby's room, she replied casually, so you could see how perfect it would be. Get every single piece of this stuff out of my house now, I warned. You have absolutely no right. She actually pouted like a spoiled child. Ryan, please be reasonable. I desperately need somewhere safe to put this equipment. That's not my problem to solve, I snapped. You have 30 seconds to start moving it, or I'm throwing it into the front yard and calling the police. Then came the Hollywood-level waterworks. Why are you being so cruel? I'm pregnant and scared. Because you're trying to take over my house without permission, I retorted. Because you think being pregnant gives you the right to whatever you want. Because you're a spoiled brat who's never heard the word no in your entire privileged life. That finally shut her up. She packed her stuff, leaving in a dramatic huff, but not before delivering an ominous threat. You're really going to regret treating me like this, Ryan. Family takes care of family, and you're going to learn that lesson the hard way. I should have taken that threat much more seriously. 2 weeks later, they made their biggest, most dangerous mistake. I came home after a brutal 12-hour shift, covered in grease, and my key wouldn't work in my own front door. My key. There was a note from Victor. Locks changed for security. Call us to discuss access. I stood there, shaking with pure, uncontrolled rage. They had broken into my house and changed the locks. The house my mother had died working to provide for me. The house that was her legacy. I called Victor, barely keeping my voice steady. What did you do to my house? And you better have a damn good explanation. Calm down, Ryan. We're just helping Brittany get settled. She moved all her belongings in today. We thought new locks would be safer. She what? I screamed. She moved into my house without my permission? She's living there now. Yes, it's better for everyone this way, he said, infuriatingly calm. You can stay with us until we figure out a more permanent arrangement. I couldn't speak. The sheer audacity. You let that manipulative woman move into my house without my permission, the actual owner. Don't talk about her like that, Ryan. She's family. I don't care what she thinks she needs. My voice was shaking now, not with rage, but with pure disbelief. Get her out of there right now and fix my locks, or I'm calling the police to report breaking and entering. Victor tried to negotiate to compromise. I hung up. My hands were still trembling as I called 911. The police arrived about 40 minutes later, just as the emergency locksmith I'd called pulled up. Brittany answered my front door, wearing an expensive silk bathrobe, acting like she was the homeowner dealing with a crazy person. Officers, thank goodness you're here. This dangerous man is trying to break into my house and making threats. I calmly showed them my driver's license, the deed with my name on it, utility bills. It didn't take them long to figure out who was lying. Brittany tried to claim she was a legal tenant, but she had no lease, no payments, nothing. Ma'am, you need to gather your belongings and leave, an officer told her. This is ridiculous. I'm 7 months pregnant with nowhere else to go. You're trespassing, the officer stated flatly. You can leave voluntarily, or we can arrest you. It took her 3 excruciating hours to pack up all the baby crap she'd moved in. Diana and Victor showed up with a moving truck, desperately trying to spin it as a family misunderstanding. The officers weren't having it. They made it clear any further attempts to enter the property would result in arrests. As soon as they were gone, I had the locksmith install new deadbolts, a heavy-duty security chain. Then I called a friend who owns a security company. By the end of the night, I had motion sensors, night vision cameras, smartphone alerts, the works. If they tried anything, I'd have video evidence. But I should have known people like them never give up. The very next morning, I called my lawyer and laid out the entire bizarre story. He listened carefully, then dropped a bombshell that made my blood run absolutely cold. Ryan, I need to tell you something you're not going to like. Your father contacted our office 3 weeks ago, asking very specific questions about contesting your mother's will. My jaw literally dropped. What do you mean? He wanted to know if there was any legal way to claim the house as community property from his previous marriage to your mother, even though they divorced years before she bought it. He was asking about filing a paternal claim to challenge the will's validity. The betrayal hit me harder than anything. This entire time, while Victor was pretending to just help his precious stepdaughter, he'd been plotting to steal my mother's legacy. Can he actually do that? I choked out, absolutely not. Your mother's will is ironclad. The house was bought after their divorce, with her own income. But the fact that he's actively exploring these options means this isn't just about housing for Brittany. They're trying to steal your property through legal manipulation and fraud. My lawyer immediately sent a formal cease and desist letter. No more unwelcome visits, no more harassment. I also learned Brittany had been telling people she was my legal tenant and I was illegally evicting her, violating state housing laws. Her lies were escalating. She was posting on social media about her abusive landlord, even starting a crowdfunding campaign for legal fees to fight an illegal eviction. She painted me as some predatory slumlord, throwing a helpless pregnant woman onto the street. When a friend showed me the online posts and fundraising page, I lost it. This woman was actively trying to destroy my reputation and steal my house. That's when I made a crucial decision. I was done playing defense. It was time to go on the offensive. For the next month, I quietly collected information about Brittany. What I found was shocking. She'd been busy since Tyler dumped her. She was on every dating app in Seattle, explicitly mentioning her pregnancy, looking for a real man who can provide stability. My IT friend helped me screenshot her profiles, where she openly talked about needing financial support, and even message threads where she asked potential dates about their income and assets before meeting them. She was still claiming to be homeless and desperate while living comfortably in her parents' $500,000 mansion. The crowdfunding campaign had already raised over $3,200 from sympathetic strangers. But the most devastating piece of information came from Tyler. We met for coffee, and he turned out to be a genuinely decent guy who'd been completely manipulated. Man, she had me convinced she was sweet and innocent, he sighed. Took me 6 months to realize she was a professional con artist. What finally made you realize? I asked. I found out she was still legally married to another man. Still married, he exclaimed. Her husband lives in California. She's been running this exact same scam, while technically still his wife the whole time. My jaw literally dropped. She's married right now? Absolutely. Derek Thompson. Married in Vegas 3 years ago. She moved up here, pretending to be single. The baby might not even be mine. She was seeing multiple guys simultaneously. This was the ammunition I needed. Brittany wasn't just entitled. She was a criminal. I was about to make sure everyone knew. I decided to wait for Brittany's baby shower. Diana had organized this massive, extravagant party, inviting half the neighborhood and posting about it everywhere. Perfect. Maximum public impact. I showed up uninvited, with a thick folder full of documented evidence and Tyler as my witness. Diana tried to block me at the door, but I walked right past her into the backyard where about 40 people were celebrating. Sorry to interrupt this lovely party, I announced, my voice carrying over the crowd. But I thought all of you should know exactly who you're really supporting here with your time and money. Brittany went completely pale. Ryan, what are you doing? You weren't invited. No, but I thought your guests might want to know they're giving expensive baby gifts to a married woman who's been running an elaborate criminal scam on this entire community. The backyard went dead silent. Diana tried to intervene, but I kept talking loudly. Everyone here probably heard Brittany's tragic sob story about her mean stepbrother making her homeless, right? What she conveniently didn't mention is that she broke into my house illegally, changed the locks, and tried to steal my property. And what she also failed to mention is that she's still legally married to a man in California. I pulled out the official marriage certificate Tyler had helped me obtain. Brittany Ross, legally married to Derek Thompson in Las Vegas, Nevada, 3 years ago. Never divorced, which makes her entire abandoned single mom story a complete fabrication designed to steal money from all of you. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Brittany was visibly panicking. That's not. We're separated. You're still legally married, which makes everything you've told these people a lie, I countered. And what about the systematic theft and fraud? I held up the documentation Tyler had provided. Stealing over $4,000 from the father of your baby, forging checks, committing credit card fraud. I even showed them screenshots of her active dating profiles. Currently active on 4 different dating apps, looking for generous men to support her and her baby financially, while simultaneously claiming to be homeless and accepting charity from all of you good people. An elderly woman stood up, shaking with anger. Is this true, Brittany? Have you been lying to all of us? Before Brittany could respond, Tyler stepped forward. Everything he's saying is completely accurate, and I have documentation to prove it. I'm Tyler, the supposed deadbeat baby father she's been complaining about. She stole over $4,300 from me through various fraudulent means and was running this exact same scam on at least 3 other men at the same time. The party erupted into chaos. People were demanding their gifts back, asking how much of her story was lies, calling her disgusting. Diana was desperately trying to do damage control, but it was too late. Victor finally appeared, looking bewildered. Ryan, what are you doing to our family's reputation? Exposing the complete truth about your precious stepdaughter's criminal activities, I said calmly. But I'm not finished yet. I pulled out my phone and called the County Housing Authority fraud hotline. Hello, I'd like to report welfare fraud. Someone has been claiming to be homeless while actually living in a house worth $500,000. Then I called the state tax fraud line. I'd like to report unreported income from a crowdfunding campaign and possible tax evasion. Brittany was crying real tears now, not the fake ones. Stop it. You're completely destroying my life. You tried to destroy mine first when you broke into my house, I shot back. The difference is, everything I'm saying is actually true and provable in court. As the disgusted guests filed out, many demanding refunds for their expensive gifts, I handed Victor one final piece of paper. What's this? He stammered. A formal lawsuit for harassment, criminal trespassing, attempted theft, and emotional distress, I told him. My lawyer filed it this morning. You're being sued for $75,000 in damages, legal fees, and punitive damages. Diana was screaming at me about ruining their family reputation, but I just walked back to my truck with Tyler. As I reached the street, I could hear Brittany having a complete emotional breakdown in the backyard. The aftermath was swift and absolutely devastating. Within 2 weeks, Brittany's actual husband, Derek, drove up from California. He'd found out about her latest scam through social media. He was filing for divorce, and he had outstanding criminal warrants for her arrest on similar fraud charges down in California. The investigation into her welfare fraud revealed she'd been illegally collecting benefits while living in a mansion and lying on multiple government applications. The IRS audit of her crowdfunding campaign uncovered unreported income, leading to serious tax evasion charges that could mean prison time. Victor and Diana settled my lawsuit for $35,000 to avoid public embarrassment, plus they had to pay for my security system and all my legal fees, totaling another $8,000. And as for Tyler, his DNA test proved he wasn't the father after all. Turns out the real father was some married businessman she'd been simultaneously scamming in Spokane. That man was furious and filed his own criminal charges against her. Last I heard, Brittany was living in a women's shelter in San Diego, facing multiple criminal charges in 2 different states. Her social media accounts were shut down after her crowdfunding donors reported her for fraud. The state was also investigating her for welfare fraud and demanding repayment of all benefits, plus penalties. Justice, in this case, was served cold, hard, and without mercy. I got my house back, my peace of mind, and learned a valuable lesson about who my real family is. So, tell me, if your own family tried to steal your home, what would you have done? I really want to know what you think.